Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Caroline Colas, and I'm the Senior Director of Health and Wellness at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan. Today, on the Positive Psychology Hour, we're going to be discussing gratitude in all times with Rabbi Debra Orenstein. This is December 21st, and it is the solstice. Winter solstice is the time of year when we are reminded that darkness is an integral part of healing and growth. The earth lays dormant, the trees are bare of leaves, the vibrant colors of the other seasons are absent. We are often naturally drawn towards the light and warmth. It feels better, clarity, understanding. However, the shadow of winter has its own intimacy in its stillness, its quiet, and its darkness. Kathy Washburn, who's been a guest on the Positive Psychology Hour, describes intimacy as into me I see. Today, we are going to look within through the lens of gratitude. Gratitude is a way of seeing that alters our gaze. It is a shift in perception based on mindfully looking for the good in our lives, and it can be a game changer. A 2015 Scientific American study reported that of 24 strengths, including love, hope, kindness, and creativity, the single best predictor of good relationships and emotional well-being was gratitude. And a recent study found that gratitude was important to well-being during COVID-19 specifically. Rabbi Debra Orenstein brings the meaning and relevance of Jewish spiritual traditions to a diverse audience. Named by the Jewish Daily Forward as one of America's most inspiring rabbis, she has been a keynote speaker at hundreds of venues, including houses of worship, Chautauqua Institute, and Christian, Jewish, and interfaith conferences. She also connects directly with the public through online classes and her e-newsletter. For over 20 years, Rabbi Debra taught at the American Jewish University in Los Angeles. Today, she is an instructor at the Academy for Jewish Religion in New York and the spiritual leader of the congregation B'nai Israel in Emerson, New Jersey. In 2016, she completed her certification in positive psychology, and Rabbi Debra is the author of 8 books, including the Life Cycle series. Her most recent audio teaching is Gratitude, Receiving Blessings and Giving Thanks as a Spiritual Practice. The main focus of Debra's justice work is ending slavery and promoting freedom. A 7th-generation rabbi, she is also an alum of the first entering class at the Jewish Theological Seminary Rabbinical School to include women. She loves working with people of all backgrounds to enhance their everyday lives and address our ultimate concerns. Phoebe, I believe you had a quote that you wanted to read. I'm going to add you here.
I will. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. The topic today was inspired by a research study that I saw this summer at the International Positive Psychology Association about gratitude during the pandemic. We started off our series this year in looking at the research that was done, the overall interventions of positive psychology during the pandemic that was helping people to stay resilient and increase their well-being. I wanted to start with Tal Ben-Shahar, not only because he is really the reason that brought us all together in the original certificate in positive psychology, that he founded that course where we all met. He says that good and bad things happen to all of us. However, what we decide to focus on the most determines how happy we are. When we focus on the negative, we create a reality where the negative is reinforced and the positive is weakened. When we focus on the positive, we create a better reality where the positive comes first. This is what gratitude does. And the original focus was gratitude in hard times. However, I think Rabbi Debra, you wrote and said, how about gratitude in all times? Let's remember it's for the hard times for sure, and also for all times.
Thank you so much to the Positive Psychology Hour, Phoebe and Caroline. I hope you can see up on the screen the title, Gratitude at All Times. I added the exclamation point and the question mark because at all times, are we really capable of that? That's what we aspire to, but it's not always easy. When we think about our aspirations, the fresh start effect of 2022, when we are connected spiritually, when we're feeling physically well or just aware of our senses and their power, when we're learning something new, when we're connecting with other people in a breakout room, when we're feeling a sense of well-being or happiness, of course it's easy to be grateful. But equally, we could say, when our aspirations are thwarted, when travel is canceled, when we're feeling spiritually constricted, when our bodies are in pain, when our minds are foggy, it's so much harder. If there's trouble in our relationships, if there's strife in the family or in the body politic, as there certainly has been lately, it's easy to fall into negative emotions, and it's easy to, if not be ungrateful, at least to lack access to gratitude. So I created this little slide of the two babies to show that both things are true. At times, gratitude seems obvious. It's the only way to be. It's the only way to live. How could I feel anything but grateful? Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said, just to be is a blessing. That echoes some of the more modern Robert Emmons quotes that Nancy shared with us. But there are times too where gratitude is so elusive, it feels impossible. And that's part of being human too. The word Jew itself means grateful. And this comes from the book of Genesis, where Leah, we are told, was hated. She had a husband who didn't intend to marry her, wanted to marry her sister, was sort of stuck with her. And she felt it and he felt it. And when she had her first son, Reuben, she named him Reuben, because that means, behold, a son, which sounds like a celebration until you look at the Hebrew and it's explained, God has seen my affliction and maybe now my husband will love me. And then she names the next son Simon, from the root shama, to listen. But again, it's not God heard my prayer or God heard how I longed for children. It's God heard that I was hated and gave me this one also. And then she has a third son. She conceives and she bears another child named Levi. Levi means to be attached to or to accompany. And she doesn't say, I have this family accompanying me in life. I hope to always walk with my children and husband. I hope to become better attached. She says, maybe this time my husband will be attached to me now that I've borne him 3 sons. And then finally, she says, when her 4th son is born, Hapa'am odeh et Adonai. This time I will thank and acknowledge God. And therefore she named him Judah, because the word Yehudi or Judah, Jew, means thankful. Now you'll notice there's a 3-to-1 ratio. First, she was incapable of gratitude. She was stuck in that negative mindset. She saw what she didn't have. She focused on what was missing in her life. And she had legitimate reasons to be upset. But something switched and she was able to give thanks and to appreciate what she had and to really take in her blessings. And this owes itself in part to the derivation of the word odeh or todah, thankfulness, because it doesn't just mean to give thanks, it means to acknowledge and even to admit. In a court of law, you admit to something. It's the same verb, odeh. Now, my son is going through the college application process. And so when you think about college admissions, it raised this idea for me. When I can admit, that is, acknowledge God's blessings, then I can admit them. I can take them in the way we're admitted to college or any other program. I can really drink them in. But first, I have to acknowledge them. I have to see them for what they are. I have to focus on them. So from this Hebrew root, meaning to admit, to acknowledge, or to thank, we get the word for thanksgiving and gratitude, hodaya. About this, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said, there are inalienable obligations as well as inalienable rights. Meaning, I admit not just that I have good in my life, but that I didn't get here by myself, that I owe a debt of gratitude to God, to other people, to life. And I'm not only entitled to good things, but I'm obligated to the world because of all the good I have received. That's an essential component of gratitude. Now, we practice this in Jewish life through hakarat hatov, a practice of recognizing the good. When you know that you're going to be writing in a gratitude journal or filling your gratitude jar or writing a thank you note, then you're on the lookout for moments of gratitude and appreciation. The call to prayer in Judaism, the Baruch Hu, is translated as, let us bless God who is blessed. And I often point out that this sounds like a redundancy or a tautology. Why are we blessing something that's already blessed? Well, we have no problem cursing what's already cursed. If you've ever been in traffic and seen the raised fist in another car or felt it yourself, oh, I'm going to curse what's cursed. I'm going to share my pet peeve. I'm going to dwell on that. We have no problem doing that, but we have to deliberately make an effort to recognize the good, to see it, to admit it, to acknowledge it, to really take it in. In Judaism, we have a practice of 100 blessings each day. The word for blessing, biracha, relates to the word for pool, virecha, because we dive in. We try to immerse ourselves in blessings. There are preset, known blessings, like the blessings over food, the blessing for seeing a rainbow, the blessing for meeting a friend that you haven't seen in over a year, the blessing for hearing good news, and so many more. And of course, there are spontaneous blessings, recognition of good that happens in the moment. This is a teaching from Reverend Connie Habash that I love. She says, when we practice gratitude, we shift our attention from what's wrong or missing to what is here. Now, notice she doesn't say to what is right or what is good. We don't always and only have to look for the good. It's helpful, as Tal Ben Shachar pointed out. It's wonderful when we can see it. But sometimes the best we can do is say, what is here? Here is this new baby in my arms. That's what Leah saw in the book of Genesis. Here is this next breath that I have. Right here, right now, in your sensory experience, in your intellect, in your spirit, in your emotions, in your relationships, what do you notice? I love the teaching from one of my teachers in positive psychology, Dr. Maria Serwa, who said that even the worst day has a best moment. This goes back to Nancy's promise, that if you reflect back, even on the most difficult times, there are a few bright spots. The great Christian writer Anne Lamott said, gratitude contains a heightened and amazed realization of how much goodness is marbled into our strange and sometimes hard and annoying lives. That's said with a lot of humor, but it honors the difficult and the good. One way that we can approach gratitude, and I think cultivate it more, is by breaking up gratitude in terms of time. There's a made-up prayer, traditional Jewish prayer, that's said 3 times every day. It is a prayer of gratitude that begins, we thank you, or we could translate, we admit to you, we are indebted to you, God, for your miracles which are with us every day, for your wonders and favors. The Hebrew is tovatech, the goodnesses, which are with us every day, evening, morning, and noon. Now, we might debate what constitutes a miracle. Do miracles still happen today? I would vote yes. But no one could debate that every day there is something that creates wonder. Every day there is something to be in awe of. Every day there are small favors and kindnesses and goodnesses that people do one for another. It helps us, I think, to break that down still further and say, what's good in the evenings? What do I love about my cuddle time with my kids, or that cup of tea that I sit with as I read my book, or that moment before drifting off to sleep that feels peaceful? What is it in my routine? What is it that sometimes happens that's beautiful about the evening? What is it about the night sky? What's good about the morning? What can I appreciate there? Almost every day, I have it right here. My husband brings me a cup of coffee in the mornings. That's not just caffeine, that's love every morning. What's good about noon? Certainly the positive psychology hour, Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon, is a new blessing, a new goodness and kindness, and even something to wonder at that we've been doing it all this time. So breaking down our time and not just globally saying, I'm grateful for family, I'm grateful for nature, but looking carefully at each day, that can help us become still more grateful. Another way Jewishly that we break down time is in terms of this morning prayer that begins how happy we are, Ashreinu, declaring, setting an intention for happiness. And it goes on to say, how good is our portion, how pleasant is our destiny, how beautiful is our heritage. And really, as I've shown on the screen, these map onto our present, our future, and our past. What is good about this moment right now? What do you sense? What can you be grateful for? As you anticipate the future, the fresh start of 2022, events coming up, hopes for the future, what is pleasant about your destiny? What do you know that you know that you know will happen, come what may, that you're looking forward to? What future are you committed to creating that you can be grateful for now, even before it arrives? And how can you harvest the good of the past? What gifts have you been given by your religion, by your ancestors, by this positive psychology hour? There's so much to be grateful for when we break down time and we start with the present, go back to the past, look forward to the future. Of course, the Sabbath is the primary Jewish way to be grateful in time. The Talmud says Shabbat is not a time for petitions. 6 out of 7 days we do our work, we acquire, we control, we manage. 1 day a week, we step back and we don't ask for more. We exist with what already is. We connect to the people that we love. We strengthen every aspect of Spire. The word Shabbat means to pause. And the truth is, it's very hard to be grateful when you're in a rush. So pausing, whether through the technology of Shabbat or in other ways, can be so helpful. Of course, as Caroline mentioned, we're in this time of darkness. We're at the solstice. And it's around this season that we have holidays of light. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav taught that when you're really in the darkest part of the cave, when you're in the deepest depression or anxiety, or even if you've fallen into the deepest sin, he says, that's when the tiny points of light become the most visible. It's when people are in hospice, when people are in crisis, that they really become aware of those small wonders and blessings that are with us every day. And we don't have to wait for the darkness in order to realize that. We can change our perspective. And this is the quote from Rabbi Nachman on your screen. He describes how if the sun is shining in your eyes, sometimes all you have to do is just hold up a single hand and it will block out the sun. Well, we put up obstacles like that in the face of divine light. So let us lower our hands, drink in the light, admit it, invite it, and bless it. I'm going to ask now, having said all that, if people would please share in the chat something that you are grateful for. Past, present, future, evening, morning, noon. Looking back on the last year, because we're coming to the end of 2021 and the end of this season of the Positive Psychology Hour, what are you grateful for? And let's please share that with one another in the chat. I see somebody said, grateful for life itself, for the Positive Psychology Hour, for the Wholebeing Institute, for health, family and friends, for the beauty of nature, helping grandkids, friendships and family, animals. Grateful for FaceTime and technologies like Zoom that enable us to connect. There's so much to be grateful for. Grateful for your service, said to everyone. I hope everyone takes that in as a gift and a blessing to you. Admit it, you've been of service. Grateful for Phoebe, amen to that. Amazing programs offered at the JCC, another amen to that. So many different things to be grateful for. I want to share with you this blessing from the Jewish tradition. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. And it's in English on your screen. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign of all time and space, who has given us life and sustained us and enabled us to reach this time. And you can see a bird coming into this life, being sustained through food and taking flight. That's my wish for all of us, that we rebirth ourselves, rebirth our gratitude, retrain our brains, that we sustain ourselves and one another in gratitude, and that we take flight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Wow. What I love about gratitude is the expansion that it creates inside my body. It makes me feel bigger. How about Phoebe? Thank you to Phoebe, to our presenters. You end your year. May you do so in gratitude.